Or is this full-time MMA now?
I love full-time MMA right now.
Back to the daily grind, and shout out to the full-time patrons. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full-time
MMA.
And Frankie Edgar versus the Korean Zombie is set to headline the UFC's 25th anniversary show in Denver. Denver is where it all kicked off. If you actually watched UFC 1, UFC 2, I'm for sure UFC 1 was in Denver. So that's where everything kicked off. And so they're coming back for the UFC's 25th anniversary show. And it's going to be headlined by future Hall of Famer, former UFC champion Frankie Edgar. But also the Korean Zombie is coming back from his first round knockout of Dennis Bermudez last year. And he's going to be looking to move himself into the top 5 of the featherweight division with the win over Frankie Edgar, and potentially, who knows, make a run for the title. Now, Korean Zombie has not been able to fight a lot, I believe, because of his Korean military stint. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't actually an injury, but he's only fought one time in the last 4 years. But now he's back, man, and his most recent performance was a first-round knockout. So he's definitely got that going for him coming into this fight with Frankie Edgar, who's coming off of a win over Cub Swanson. But before that, Frankie Edgar actually got knocked out for the first time in his career by Brian T-City Ortega. So this is going to be a great fight on what's likely going to be a very stacked card. This is the main event, but also check this out, just announced. Mike Perry versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone also being targeted for UFC Denver, which is going to be the 25th anniversary show. So you got Korean Zombie versus Frankie Edgar, Cerrone versus Perry, and this fight, I'm not gonna lie, bro, this is one of my fights. This is probably my fight of the night so far. I mean, I fuck with Frankie Edgar and the Korean Zombie, but as of right now, this might be the people's main event. I mean, and this is the best time to book this fight in my opinion. You know, Donald Cowboy Cerrone and Mike Perry, they actually just became teammates at Jackson Wink, where Mike Perry moved to develop his skills as a mixed martial artist, young in his game, looking to become more than a knockout artist that people look at as like some just thug or idiot that's not well-rounded. Mike Perry's actually looking to well-round out his game and become a staple in the UFC, not just some guy that gets, you know, goes on a losing streak and gets thrown to the wolves because he was one-dimensional. He's actually looking to evolve as a mixed martial artist, and you got to respect that. And so now he's training with Jackson Wink, and it's one of the most respected camps and fight teams in the sport. Also with some of the biggest names, most respected names, John Jones, Holly Holm, Donald Cowboy Cerrone. And so these guys have actually just now started to get to know each other. That's why I think this is actually the best time for the fight, because this is a great fight. I mean, the style matchup and everything, the personality matchup. This is a fight that I would love to see. But if these guys would have went 1 or 2 more years of being teammates, you know, and really getting to know each other, maybe, you know, after a few times fishing with Donald Cerrone and a few times to the strip club with Mike Perry, these guys wouldn't want to fight each other. You know what I'm saying? Right now, they're just now becoming teammates before they get too acquainted with each other. I think we got to make this fight happen, because if Mike Perry remains with Jackson Wink, we might have never, you know, for the rest of his career as he continues to grow, we might have never got to see this fight. Both of these guys, I believe, are unranked in the welterweight division. Maybe Donald Cerrone's in the top 15 with that win over Yancy Medeiros. He could be right on the outside of the top 15, you know, coming up from lightweight. He did have those 3 fights, though, with some of the best welterweights in the world, Donald Cerrone. He had the fight with Darren Till, Jorge Masvidal, Robbie Lawler. So he had those losses, but he was actually able to get a win over Yancy Medeiros in his most recent fight in the UFC, if I'm not mistaken. That was his last fight. Did Donald? No, he just fought Leon Edwards after that. Okay, Donald Cerrone's coming off of that loss to Leon Edwards at UFC Singapore. But with that being said, Mike Perry's coming off that win over Paul Felder. He was originally supposed to fight Yancy Medeiros. He was injured, he was supposed to fight Yancy Medeiros. Paul Felder stepped in. But with that being said, these guys, man. Also, you got Cowboy. You know, he's the cowboy, baby, motherfucking riding ATVs, fishing, shooting guns, everything that a cowboy does. And then you got Mike Perry, who looks like he got his shot to the UFC winning a battle at the shelter. You know what I'm saying? An underground rap battle. Like he got a mixtape somewhere in his past. And on top of that, also maybe he robbed a couple liquor stores. I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, you know, it's like a white boy from the country and a white boy from the hood actually going to get to scrap in the UFC. And so that's why I like this matchup as well. On top of it being an exciting fighting style. I mean, Donald Cerrone, more of a striker, but also very well-rounded. He's a guy that you would assume could pick apart someone that's more of a knockout artist that Mike Perry has looked at, but he's been rounding out his game. He looked good versus Paul Felder. Paul Felder did have break his arm in that fight, but it is what it is. Mike Perry's still a very powerful fighter, a dangerous fighter. We've seen him knock out UFC veterans in the sport before. He's got that crazy knockout over Ellenberger. I mean, Mike Perry can definitely knock you out if he catches you. So with that being said, Donald Cerrone might be the more technical, well-rounded fighter, but if he gets caught, he could go to sleep in this fight. It's a fucking great fight. It's likely going to be an exciting fight, fight of the night type of fight. Donald Cerrone's a guy that loves to get in there. Anybody, anywhere, any place. Don't give a fuck if it's Mike Perry. He's going to be in there trying to have fun in this fight, and that could be a good thing. He could definitely win this fight. He could knock Mike Perry out. He could probably pick Mike Perry apart. He could probably submit Mike Perry, but he could also get knocked out himself in this fight. And so that's why I'm glad this fight's happening now, because there's a chance that we might have never got to see this fight if it didn't happen now rather than later. So, man, with that being said, it is what it is. Looks like UFC Denver is going to be a stacked fight night, because I'm pretty sure this is going to be a fight night. The main event is Korean Zombie versus Frankie Edgar. You got Cerrone versus Perry on there. I mean, it might be a big Fox card, but either way, man, it's going to be a stacked card. So can't wait. Let the full-time family know what you think in the comments. Before we get out of here, though, who knows, man? Maybe with the future of this channel, we'll be able to go to motherfucking Denver, Colorado, and go to this event live and get some live coverage. Who knows, man? But I say that because Yank My Dandy Doodle, he presented us with a huge opportunity. There's only 5 days left. He said he will match all donations made to the full-time startup fund in the next week, up to $1,000. Holy smokes, that's big. So we'll see what happens. We might not hit half of that, but even if we hit $100, man, and he matched that, that would be that much more toward our new studio and new equipment that we're going to be using to make this channel that much better. So appreciate everybody listening to this video, and it's been rocking with the full-time family either from day one or from last week, because we've been getting a lot of new subscribers lately, so that's dope. So let the full-time family know what you guys think in the comments. 5 days left.
Da 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 da! It's the motherfucking DOG.